Yes, you're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV, and we continue with our news review. And just before the break, we were discussing about the matters in ODM, but the discussion developed into what Jubilee should or should not do. So I give Yusuf a chance to respond to that as we go into this headline on the front page of the Standard: Jubilee headache on party posts as scramble begins. Remember, the National Delegates Convention for the Jubilee Party, Jubilee affiliate parties, they will hold their individual national delegates conventions, I think, on Thursday this week. Then eventually Friday converge at Kasarani to discuss the merger, and on Saturday the merger will be sanctioned. I think the president will be there. So yes, Jubilee Party and Jubilee merger is big news this week. I know some of you may disagree, but it's definitely big news. So yes, I'll give you an opportunity to probably make a comment on the topic we had just before the break as we go into this one.
Yeah, first of all, I'll say that Jubilee has put its act together. It has got organized, it has come together, and it's going forward to lead this country. And in that process, it looks like a party that has direction and has leadership. It has already selected its presidential and deputy presidential candidate. So there are no doubts and squabbles about it. It is now going into the main convention, as you said, in the next few days to concretize that. So what is happening on the other side is that the opposition has been caught in a difficult situation, and the opposition seems to be in a bit of a bend, in the sense that they're not ready yet. They're squabbling about who should be their leader, flag bearer. They're squabbling about who should be on board, and many other problems. And therefore, many of the people in the opposition are leaving, as we have seen in Kwale now. The clearest indication of any governor in ODM saying, in the next election, me and my people would be on the Jubilee side. We would elect President Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto. So we seem to be doing extremely well in terms of providing the answers the Kenyan people want. Now it is up to the opposition to put its act together, because it is healthy in this country to have an effective opposition that can continue the democratic process that we have, because we will not have a strong democracy if we have a very weak opposition. So we hope they can put their act together and compete. And at the end of the day, it is the Kenyan public that will determine. You know, the voter is the Kenyan public. And I think we have done extremely well in appealing to the public and to ensuring that we can provide, Jubilee can provide that kind of leadership, and that the current leadership of Jubilee can be trusted with continuing with governing our country.
What would you say to Brian Weke's assertion that actually the plan that Jubilee has to use the IEBC for its party primaries could actually be against the law, that IEBC should not be allowed to run any party nominations?
Well, I mean, one needs to look at that act, but at the moment all the political parties agree. I think it is not only Jubilee that has said that its elections would be done by IEBC. The opposition court has also said that ODM has said that it is primary elections would be done by IEBC.
Is that the position?
No.
Yeah, the leader has said.
No. Let me tell you first.
But let me answer his question. At our leadership, the Jubilee leadership has assured its rank and file that it will go to the IEBC for our primary election. And there's a lot of confidence in that, in the sense that people are worried about political parties are considered to be manipulative, they are considered to be corrupt, and therefore there is no trust that a fair nomination process can be done by the political parties. And that's why people are a lot of members of parliament and a lot of politicians are concerned about this issue of party hopping. People would be happy to stay in the party that they have decided to stay in and continue until the elections, if that party can guarantee a fair and free selection process. And what is wrong in using IEBC, which is an independent body, in doing that? And I think that is going to create the trust that we need in political parties. And so That is the way we in Jubilee are going.
Yes. Bonaukot, please respond to the assertion that ODM wants to use IEBC as well for its party primaries.
First of all, anyone who believes that IEBC will run any party primaries in this country is not being honest and sincere. If IEBC in theory were to run any elections, you would approach them and give them the offer and the invitation, and they would give you their terms and the conditions and cost. They wouldn't do it for free. The fact is, nobody can afford what IEBC will put on the table. We've seen even some of these clubs, for instance, AFC or Gor Mahia, when they want to run their elections, call in the IEBC to assist them. And the cost of running just a club election is very high. So I think, to be fair to what we're discussing here, it's a non-starter issue. This is an issue that is meant to cover the eyes of lambs that are being led to be slaughtered. Some participants in the political field who knows that there is no genuine democracy and fairness in our party system. The parties are owned and have their owners. In his case, he's telling us Jubilee is leading us ahead, but Jubilee has its leadership set until 2032. That is never a good thing. That is not a sign of democracy. That's imperialism. So we're not getting anywhere in that sense. It may look nice. It will be packaged in a beautiful PR fashion. There'll be girls dancing in coordinated outfits, but that's not democracy. So I can tell you for sure, even CORD, we cannot afford it. If we want to strengthen parties with their own structures, with their own internal mechanism, we must fund them. I've told you the political parties fund allowance that CORD gets and ODM gets, we share with our CORD partners. That leaves us at a very weak point. All three parties, we don't have the resources to engage all our branches consistently to build our agendas and organizational structures. So when it comes down to even how much budget does ODM have to run its election, you have to rely on the contributions of candidates running for nominations. You'll set a nomination fee and hope that enough money comes in for you to run a credible election. That's what leads to bitterness. When people produce money to participate in party nominations, they ask 10 governor candidates for the ODM ticket in Nairobi to each give $1 million to be nominated to be able to vie. Then they bring in 10 million. Is 10 million enough to run in all the polling stations of Nairobi, a proper governor nomination process? You know, so those are the types of things. If one person then feels cheated, they say, you know, I paid a lot to participate in that and it wasn't fair. So I think we have to fund the political parties well. This parliament, which sadly I serve in, has failed in insisting on the registrar of political parties getting their full allocation and the money going in. It has worked to the advantage of Jubilee to keep the parties weak because they also have access to other state resources. But in the end, it will turn. So if we want to build institutions, let us fund them. We have not been funding political parties appropriately according to the formula, and all parties are suffering for it. Of course, URP and TNA don't care because they are bundling up and dissolving, but it is to the loss of parties like ODM and Wiper who are the biggest losers.
Process within Jubilee that I want us to discuss right now, because according to this headline, Jubilee headache, even as we head towards the National Delegates Convention later this week and into the weekend, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto are facing a fresh dilemma in picking Jubilee party interim officials without hurting political partners in the merger. And you know, all this is connected to the nominations, to who is going to get ticket. Of course, if you're appointed chairman of this party or interim chairman, it is presumed that you have you are more influential within the party. Probably your ticket will be guaranteed. And this is connected to the nomination process, surely. And as Mheshimiwa here said, it is like leading what did you say? A sheep to slaughter. And that is what we've seen with Kasarani previously. KANU, ODM, Men in Black, party nominations, anything that happens in Kasarani, the results are not usually very positive.
Yeah, it really worries me when I hear Mheshimiwa Yusuf saying that Jubilee has gone forward, but he's saying they want to go with IEBC. And I'm wondering, how does a party leadership not even trust the structures of their own party, that they have to outsource their core mandate of choosing members? I mean, the IEBC issue really, I agree, is a non-starter and it should be put to rest. Number one, it's not legal because IEBC tribunal is the one that listens to primary fallouts, nomination fallouts. So you can't run the nomination and then you're the same one who hears about cases that are coming up from the shambolic nominations that you have run. That's one. Number two, IEBC now is being reconstituted because they couldn't even manage national elections. So why would you want an organ that has failed somewhere to come and run your own nominations? Yeah. Number 3, parties should be able to build their own institutions. That's why you have nomination rules. That's why you have an elections board. That's why you have a director of elections. I've seen proposed for Kigumo MP Jamlek is proposed Jubilee director of elections. Yeah, so that you can run your own primaries.
Yet he's running.
Yeah, and yet he's running himself. But you should be able to run your own primaries with the resources that you have internally as a party and in a democratic way. And that's why I really support outlawing of party hopping, as it were. I think it's a first step for us to begin a democratic process in which winners really win and losers support the winners. Because honestly, if you start cheating at the nomination level, when you get into parliament, you're representing people who you know rejected you even in the nominations because you had some certain party position somewhere. Then you'll not even represent the people properly. And that's the issue you're seeing with current crop of leaders, where people get into parliament and they don't even care. Yeah. So that's my stand on this thing. About party funding, of course, I just want to respond to my friend Ken Okoth that the only reason, there's nothing for free, there's never a free lunch. The only reason ODM shares its pie, or a piece of the cake with Wiper is because Raila's running mate Kalonzo brought more than 1,200,000 votes to ODM because they ran on an ODM ticket, not on a Wiper ticket. Yes. So I mean, ODM has been gracious enough, and we thank them to say, listen, we know you participated in all these votes, so we'll give you a little bit proportionally to what you participated in. So there is no charity.
And it's also not charity, just saying ODM will keep our end of the deal, and we're good.
Wiper is older than ODM.
That's another story. We work together, and I think we should keep Wiper as a very strong party. We should keep ODM as a very strong party. He has said that party hopping is a bad thing. I disagree with him. In our current parliament, we have 67 MPs who came in through party hopping, that were cheated at their nominations, went to the citizens, and were endorsed by the citizens in their election. If you look at the constitution, this party hopping thing that we have passed with the insistence of our party leaders, I still maintain it is bad, and I want to go on record, and history will prove me right. It is bad politically for ODM. For us to see what Jubilee is doing is undemocratic. This forced merging of Jubilee, we know there's going to be a fallout in less than 350 days. Instead of us getting ready to harvest from that fallout and get very strong members from Jubilee to come onto our side, as we did in Kajiado. Jubilee had Memusi Ole Kanchori, and they did not do justice by him. We grabbed Memusi, we made him our own, and he's our MP. Even the president and his entourage campaigning there with full state machinery could not overturn the will of the people of Kajiado to bring Memusi to parliament. But let me just tell you something. So I'm just telling the biggest party hoppers in this country, you want to give party hopping a bad name. My own party leader has changed parties how many times? Party hopping is not a bad thing. The democracy and constitutionality of the Kenyan citizens to decide who their choice is. You may say this party hopper has broken some rules from the party rules, but the constitution gives every Kenyan a right to participate in the election and choose who they want. So you might want to limit the candidate, but you're denying a citizen the right to choose that candidate. Even if that candidate will party hop and end up with 5 votes, the constitution guarantees those people who want to choose those 5 votes.
I'm surprised Mheshimiwa Okoth is protecting that. If a person is popular enough to be elected by the public, why would that person be bothered to go to a political party that he feels he's unable to win? Why doesn't he go
you go because you feel you can win.
If he is popular, he or she is popular, why don't you straight go to the party that you want to use in the election? If not, why don't you go independent? We have a political democratic space that allows us to compete in the process. This argument that a popular person is denied the nomination and then has to hop to another political party is unnecessarily very unstable.
That is not true, because let me just say something. He has asked me a question. This gentleman is a party hopper. he himself was in ODM, we didn't do our nominations right, and you got to parliament through another party. So let us be honest here. Example number one, exhibit here in the stands. So let us...
But that is not necessarily a healthy political process.
But it is realistic for Kenya. It's a reality for Kenya. That, for instance, Olago Aluoch in Kisumu knew that he was strong within ODM. He believes in the ideals of ODM. He caucuses still with ODM and CORD today. But when he went to the party nominations, the certificate was given to Rosa Buyu. Rosa Buyu was not popular and lost with the ODM in an ODM stronghold. Olago Aluoch, forced, knowing his popularity and having been done an injustice by ODM, went to Ford Kenya, and ODM lost.
Brian Weke.
So, Fred, let's be honest. Kenya has not grown democratically. We are still growing our institutions, and more so institutions of political parties. Now, it is extremely sad, and I want to be very honest. There are things that we say because they sound nice on TV. There are things we say because we ought to head towards that direction. But let me not lie to you. If you look at this law that has been passed, in my opinion, is actually an unconstitutional law. Because if you look at Article 38 of the Constitution, it is very clear that it is a right for a citizen to make certain choices. Now, if you start locking out people, and really, let's be honest, my good brother, Yusuf Hassan, was actually in ODM when he came to Kamukunji. And because he was never given an opportunity to run a credible process, he was locked out. What did he do? He moved to ODM Kenya. And that's how he was elected in Kamukunji. This young man called Memusi, who believed that he had inspired a number of people in Kajiado. He loved the party Jubilee. When he went there, because some guy had paid certain party operatives, he was locked out. He went and he was given a fair chance in ODM, and that is how he has managed to lead the people of that constituency. So let me tell you, the stakes are extremely high. Today, if you're given a ticket for JAP in Central, in Rift Valley, Jubilee Party, in Rift Valley, in Central, believe you me, it is a done deal. So the right to choose has been removed from the citizen to where now leaders are the ones deciding. I can tell you for a fact, today if you're given the ODM ticket in Luo Nyanza, or in Coast Province, or in certain parts of Western, or in Nairobi here, you can actually go and deposit that certificate to the bank, and you say that is my collateral. Let me tell you, the stakes are extremely high. Fred, Fred, as I finalize, it is, let us look at the magnitude of what we are saying. It sounds nice that we do not want party hopping, but we have not matured democratically as a country to that level. Even now, I'm seeing, and I'm happy that Jubilee is planning very well. And one of the co-chairs is actually saying that whoever becomes the Secretary General, whoever becomes a certain position in the party, that sole decision lies with the President and the Deputy. So what democracy is that? Believe you me, running credible nominations, we are in a political process, is very difficult in this country. Just the other time when TNA was formed, they went to IEBC to find out how much it would cost. They were given a bill of around 3 billion. Can Wiper marshal 3 billion for nomination? Absolutely not. If the law provides, the Campaign Finances Act provides that you can only spend 5 billion to run, you spend 3 billion on nominations, you know, let's be very honest.
Yeah. Gravely, actually, is that leaders sitting here are saying just because things happen now, it's right. It's absolutely not right. I'm very worried that Brian Weke is saying we have not reached there democratically. I mean, we're supposed to be visionary. We're supposed to strive as leaders for excellence. Yeah. So you can't sit here and say
compelling guys through a law.
It's not. No,
it's about practice.
You contradicted yourself, and that's why I'm responding to you, Brian. Yeah. If you are trying to get nominated and you think that you are popular, you choose your party way in advance, yeah, and then what you choose you stick to. I mean, if you pray now that your employer increases your salary and the salary then get increased, tomorrow do you change to be Muslim? Then you pray again, if you then get increased, you change to be Hindu. You don't. right? You're supposed to pick your religion and you stick with it. And we need to be mature enough and say, listen, this is what we want to strive to as a country. And fair nominations is the very basis of truthfulness, of political leadership, where you are trusting your citizens and your party. And if you believe your party is not fair, you move so that there's a cause and effect, so that your political party, whatever it is, knows that if I mess up my candidate, I will die tomorrow, because everybody will move. So this whole thing of saying that we have not quite reached there is worrying. Otherwise, what people would have done is would have said, you know what, Kenya is not ready for mobile money. Now M-Pesa is the world leader. Or you'd have said, Nairobi, there's too much traffic, you can't host 34 presidents. We just did. So you can't sit down and say that.
I fully agree. In fact, precisely the reason why we want to change things is because things have not been done right. Precisely, we want to change because we want to get better. And that's why in the past, as my own experience has shown, is that we have not had fair and free nominations. There has been interferences. There is corruption. Political parties have not been able to do things properly to satisfy the needs of their members. Also, political parties have been manipulated by our elite, and they have been used as vehicles. Mr. Kiraitu Murungi is on record to have said that a political party is like a matatu, which you use to reach your destination. Now, he is leading Jubilee to create a much more coherent, much more organized, a professional way of selecting.
It's just a different matatu.
No. We
have a matatu where you're paid by M-Pesa.
So we need to change from where we have been, to be more professional, to have more legal restrictions in terms of people manipulating, using corruption, and abusing and discrediting the political process that we have. In addition, this party hopping, particularly the elite that use party hopping and then manipulating the party system to get the ticket through the back door, are also agitators who destabilize our constituencies. They create chaos. They say we were rigged. So we need a system whereby everybody can be satisfied that the process has been done right.
Yes.
One of it is the law. The other one is for the parties to clearly have an institution that is trusted by everybody. An institution that can do the job.
And according to Jubilee, that is IEBC.
IEBC, and I think the resources. What we need to do is to give power to those institutions and to give them the resources to be able to do that job. It is not to say, because things are bad now, we should stay where we are. I think we, as a country, we need to move out of that.
And I think we also need to move on to another discussion. As we wind up our news review this morning, the top story on Citizen this morning is about what is happening at the coast. And if my director can help me with this, of course, we understand that Kwale Governor Salim Mvurya has ditched ODM to join Jubilee, in what marks a big win for the ruling coalition and a blow to Raila Odinga's fight to maintain his grip on the coast region. Now, Mvurya announced the move after meeting President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has been on a development tour of the region. Sam Gituku has that report.
Over the last 3 weeks, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto have come to the coast for a cumulative 10 days. During this time, the two have been commissioning development projects while promising to do more over the next 1 year before the general election. In Kwale County, for instance, President Kenyatta on Saturday launched the expanded Mkanda Dam while offering to provide 100 million shillings more for further expansion. On Saturday evening, Kenyatta, in tow with his host Governor Mvurya, commissioned medical equipment worth 400 million shillings at the Msambweni County Referral Hospital. This moving the governor to make a declaration.
Tumeona kwa vitendo, Mheshimiwa Rais na naibu wako, nyinyi mmechangia kwa ajenda ya Wakwale. Na sisi pia basi tutawauliza watu wetu wawaunge mkono kwa kura inayokuja.
Gavana wenu hapa Mvurya tunamwambia kwa sababu yeye ni mtu wa heshima, akaribia kufanya kazi na watu wa heshima wenzao.
Elected on an ODM ticket, Salim Mvurya has over the years been quiet about his stay in ODM. On the 18th of August this year, however, he talked of his frustrations even as ODM leader Raila Odinga endorsed him for governorship.
Sasa tuna shida kwa sababu kama mwenyekiti wa ODM kwa county haungi mkono gavana, hiyo ni shida si shida?
Mimi najua mvuli yatosha. Hakuna haja kunyanyasa.
And now, just 2 weeks after Odinga's tour of Kwale and the assurance that the governor had his support, Mvurya has declared that he will henceforth work with Jubilee.
Mheshimiwa Rais, saa hii muko katika process ya kuangalia mnaunda chama namna gani, na ukitueleza tukielewa na agenda yetu tutekeleze pamoja, tutaweza kukuunga mkono.
Together with Senator Juma Boy Juma and Woman Representative Zainab Chizuga, the county boasts of 5 legislators and 1 Jubilee MP. Of this, 2 ODM legislators have already decamped from the Code Alliance for Jubilee. Several so-called ODM rebel MPs from the coast region have in the past year declared their support for the ruling coalition.
Hawa wote wamehama na mama yao. Chungwa limeoza, Your Excellency. Kina mama hai, sisi tutafuata kuliko na mkono wa kulamba. Hatutakwenda kwenye vitandawili.
For Kenyatta and Ruto, however, behind the development projects is a plot to dethrone Odinga from the region's political grip. In 2013, Odinga scored 80% of the presidential vote in Kwale County, with Uhuru scoring just above 14%. The apparent defection now a cause for alarm for Raila Odinga, who enjoys solid support in the region.
That's with Bwana Yusuf. Big win for Jubilee?
Well, yes, definitely. I think the president is laughing and dancing as he goes to places like Kwale, because he's penetrating into areas that were considered to be strongholds of ODM. A clear indication that ODM is a burning house in some parts of our country, like in, as we have seen in Kwale, and people are fleeing, leaving the burning house behind. So the opposition has a lot of problems, in the sense that the president and the deputy president are now penetrating deep into areas that were considered no-go for Jubilee recently. Places like in Kisii, like in Western Kenya, and some parts of the coast. The president was also in Kilifi, where he was well received. He was also in Tana River, where he was well received. And therefore, we're seeing a shift, a shift in the political support of communities, and I think we would have a lot to celebrate come the elections.
Yes. Bwana Mweke, you've seen the Governor Mvurya, they are trying to beat about the bush, using words, but
he was very categorical.
Yeah, I mean, he said that he wants to, he's going to tell his people to vote for Jubilee. But, you know, Governor Mvurya is a good friend of mine. And if you listen to him properly, it's not that he likes Jubilee. It's that somebody in ODM has annoyed him. And he said that a month ago when the party leader visited his area and said, listen, ODM leadership here is undermining an ODM governor, and I'm not happy. And it looks like those concerns were not handled properly. So he's looking for a place to go. But since Coast is a CORD zone, and you saw that very clearly in Malindi, I urge my friend Governor Mvurya, instead of leaving ODM to go to Jubilee, come to Wiper, so that we keep it within the coalition. And my other friend Ababu Namwamba, you saw he left ODM again. He was annoyed at ODM, and he started hopping. Now Jubilee has formed. He's still hopping. He's in the air. He has nowhere to go. He should have just come to Wiper. We accommodate him, so that we keep our coalition strong and healthy to battle out Jubilee in 2017.
Can you afford to lose a governor right now?
No, I think we as ODM must do internal reflection and see where our challenges are coming, where the internal dissatisfaction is. Honorable Chizuga, the women rep for Kwale, said Chungwa limeoza. I disagree with that. I think we're a vibrant and democratic party. We just need to have internal systems that are more listening and engaging and addressed, because everybody can bring something to the table. So we shouldn't be dismissing people who've contributed for however long.
There's a problem within the party.
We have some
so much
challenges.
dissatisfaction.
You say problem, we have challenges. We will build this party and it can get stronger, and we don't want to lose support where we have it. It's a harder hill to climb if you lose an incumbent governor, sitting governor, who goes in with his resources and networks. You have to build up afresh. So you don't want in the middle of campaigning against Jubilee, you've opened another battlefront and given yourself extra tasks. So we need to hold on. You know, ODM has got out of the 47 governorships, I think we have about 24. So we have the majority.
CORD has 24.
CORD, yes, I mean. So CORD as a family, whether we are losing to Wiper or switching internally, we must make sure that, again, we're not losing significant.
So are you saying it's okay that he can move to, as long as it's within the CORD family?
No. We will talk to Governor Mvurya respectfully, address this issue. But you also, what's happening here is, with this law that has just been changed, is people might be hedging their bets, and it reflects to you that power within the parties is not in structures, but is in the party leadership at the top, in a small clique of people who own the parties, who are perceived as the owners of the party. So if you play your game well and negotiate with them and show them the risk or the threat of messing with you or not giving you what you want, then they will guarantee you. You know, so if Governor Mvurya, on the other hand, let me give you an example, is playing this game to say ODM must de facto upfront guarantee me the nomination, that's also undemocratic to anyone who might want to challenge him internally, including a Wiper candidate. So we have to think of that. But I can tell you, politicians are crafty and smart, and they have their interests at heart, and if playing those cards is what will guarantee you a clean nomination, then you must play them. So we must think of that context.
Crafty and smart, do you think Governor Mvurya is just threatening? Is it a threat? Ama is really defected?
I think just before that, there is something my brother, the governor, the deputy governor of Nairobi, mentioned about political parties instilling certain democratic principles as regards party hopping. And I think it's important for me to respond. Now, the problem we have, it is issues to do with practice, not the law. If the democratic, deepening democracy within our country is about giving the people the power to choose. Now what we are saying, we've actually removed that power to choose from the people and they gave it to a few individuals. Now when you see party leaders, when you see opposition and government coming together and saying, look here, this thing is good for us, that's very dangerous for our country, because you're removing the power from the people to where you're actually giving it to the party leaders. Because today, what that law means, whether the nomination are free, not free, fair, not fair, whoever the party leaders have decided will be given the ticket, the other person cannot move to another party. So that's why we're saying then you're limiting enjoyment of Article 38. So as you think through that, it is a good practice, but let us instill it in terms of our democratic practices, not using the law to force and deny the people the right to choose. Now, as regards Mvurya, if he was to leave, and I'm using the word he was to, because you've seen he's very coded in what he's saying, not coded in terms of code, but in terms of language. If Mvurya was to join Jubilee, perceptionally, it would be a very good thing for Jubilee. However, as you've noticed, it is not the leaders who determine where people go. It is the people who determine where leaders go. Clearly, there are very strong challengers on the ground who are running for governor, and they are running on an ODM ticket. They're actually jostling for the same position. So I think what Mvurya is telling the party leadership is that, look here, I do have an option. So, and I'm happy the deputy governor has given him another option. Because what he's saying, you hear, he's saying, ideally what he ought to have said is that we are moving. Guys, we are voting for these people. But he's very coded in his language. He says, we will tell you. We will tell you to vote for. You see, when you're endorsing, you do not postpone the endorsement. When you postpone the endorsement, it means
it's a threat.
It is actually it is a veiled threat. So for me, I highly doubt that he has moved, because if he had, these are politicians, they'll tell you, you then hit it directly. You don't go sideways the way he has. But if he was to actually endorse Jubilee, perceptionally, might not, and that's why I'm using the word perceptionally, it would give Jubilee an upper hand in terms of a national vote.
Yes. I think the governor's statement was very categoric. Of course, he was politically careful, but there's very clear indication that he's very dissatisfied in what has happened in ODM, and he's looking for an alternative. And that alternative is most likely to be Jubilee, as he said it very clearly. So if you look at what is happening in the country, the counties that are shifting, where the governors are looking to get out, are almost all ODM governors. So we are gaining in that sense. But the point that I wanted to come back to is the point of giving a lot of power to party leaders in determining who should be elected. I think we should not underestimate the public. The Kenyan public is not a sheep. They're not going to be hardened to vote for someone who is not popular. And political parties would suffer and pay a high price if they were able to, if they did not heed the public perception of the popularity of a particular candidate. So democracy is enhanced in that sense, because the final and the ultimate answer of who would be elected as a president of this country, or as a senator, or a governor, or a member of parliament, lays with the Kenyan public. And that freedom exists and has not been taken away by any law.
So gentlemen, as we come to the end of our news review this morning, of course being a Monday, we give you the opportunity to set the agenda, the news agenda for the week, briefly as we wind up. And let's start with Brian Wike.
I think the agenda for this week would be the headline of 143 billion. I think moving forward we want to understand the magnitude. Is it 160 billion? Is it more than that? Is it less? So I would urge really different institutions to look into this issue. As you've heard, 143 billion would be able to sort out a number of counties. It's nearly half the amount that is actually released to the counties. So for me, I think it is a key issue of concern to Kenyans. We want to know if there is somebody who is actually involved, then they have to be brought to book. If they're leaders currently, or the ones who are there, who actually transferred property to their personal names or companies associated to them, it is something we are keen as a country to look at. And the number two, of course, the focus on the next commissioners. Time is running out. We definitely want to see the process commencing in terms of appointing the new IEBC commissioners, so that they can actually plan for, as we speak, we are now barely 11 months to the next election. So that is something that we want to see being jump-started this week.
What Weke said covers a lot of the ground. I would say two other new things. One is not even on the headlines for a while now, but we need to bring it back, is the issue of interest rates, the 14.5% or 4% over the central bank rate. We've seen a bunch of banks last week go ahead and take the leap and say on new loans and as well as those existing loans, they've invited their customers to come and sign new contracts. I think beyond that, citizens, what affects a regular Kenyan citizen is those who don't borrow from banks. They're looking to see what will our government do, what will our parliamentarians do to regulate the borrowing and the operations of SACCOs, of Shylocks and other places where they are also borrowing at very high rates. I think a lot of Kenyans want to hear that debate. It shouldn't stop at what the banks are doing, which has been a good first step, and of course it should come back in the headline in a clear analysis, because we were threatened and warned that Kenya would come to a standstill. It's not going to come to a standstill. Our banks will still continue doing well, and they will have to figure out products that serve the Kenyans. So that's number one. But on the political front, we have less than 30 days, about 20-something days, according to the timeline of the laws that we passed and the agreement that was set up at Windsor with the Joint Select Committee, and the report that was passed in the House without amendments, is to make sure now that by 30th of this month we have a new IEBC commission. It puts a lot of issues on the plate of the president to see who are the selection panel, and how will they nominate for him 11 people, for him to quickly decide and give us 7 commissioners, and have those 7 commissioners please everybody and be agreeable by the 30th of this month. So we are headed for some turbulence and interesting time, and I think we'll start to see that this week. Will the selection panel be formed? Will the religious groups give us who are their members in that nomination panel? Who will submit their interviews? 20 days to select a new IEBC is really interesting.
Okay. I'm surprised you didn't mention that your party leader is going to Kakamega this whole week for tour.
You didn't give me 3 headlines, but Baba is in Western, and we're consolidating our vote basket there, and ODM is 10 years old. We're looking forward to another 100 years of growing strong as a socio-democratic party that involves everyone, that's inclusive, and we learn from our mistakes. One of our mistakes is losing such a good member like Yusuf Hassan. We would have another ODM MP now. We lost, but we shouldn't suffer forever. We should learn and fix those mistakes.
Okay. But the Deputy Governor?
Yeah, mine is more on the economy, which touches largely again on Nairobi as the capital. We've been cleaning up and restoring order that has been a problem in Nairobi for decades. But the governor and myself have taken the bull by the horns, and we are beginning to clean up a lot of Nairobi. So we've done CBD, we've gone into the estates. Just last week, which will continue this week, is what we're doing in ECD. ECD is a very serious business hub for this country and for the region, where there's over 50 malls, and they've been unable to work because of hawkers who've been brought in by politicians and so on and so forth. So we are continuing to clean ECD. You've seen now that it's moving. The matatus are behaving, the taxis, the hawkers are gone, and ECD is going to now become a 24-hour economic zone for the entire region. And I think that's important for us, because now you can get the city moving again, you can create jobs, and so on and so forth. So we'll be visiting ECD with the Member of Parliament here, and I expect him to do exactly what Mvurya did, to say that, sasa mimi tumeona kuna maendeleo kwa hii Kamkunji yetu, na sasa tunaunga mkono code kwa sababu ya hii serikali ya Kidero na ya Mweke.
Thank you. I must say that we're looking forward for the governor and his deputy, the county government, to do its job and make Nairobi a much better city, a cleaner city. And that challenge still continues, because we have serious problems in the management of our city. And I'm looking forward to seeing the good work that you're doing in Kamukunji to make it a better place. And if you come and seriously do a great job in Kamukunji, I'm sure you would get our support as a Member of Parliament.
Yes.
But I think in our case we're looking forward to we're looking forward to our Jubilee convention, the big party event of the year, in which several parties have come together in a coalition and have formed a super party, which is one of the historic developments in our country. And as Brian Weke had said, Brian Weke had said that we need to improve the democratic process in our political parties in practice. I think it is important for the public, members of political parties, and all politicians to create an environment in which the practice of our political parties is democratic, open, and they're accountable. And I think taking steps like the ones that we're doing now would enhance that. So I'm looking forward to a great convention at Kasarani, and that we would emerge as a better and a bigger party than we are at the moment, to be able to provide the kind of leadership this country needs, and to face the challenges of development that our country is facing at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much, Yusuf Hassan, Member of Parliament for Kamukunji. On Twitter, MP Yusuf Hassan. Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor Nairobi, on Twitter at J Mweke. Ken Okoth, MP Kibra, on Twitter at Okoth Kenneth, and Brian Weke, CEO, Institute for Education and Democracy, at Brian Weke on Twitter. That has been our news review this morning. Remember, you're still watching Power Breakfast on Citizen TV. We're not going anywhere. We just moved. I think Willis, my colleague Willis Raburi, is on the other side of the studio, ready to have a chat with the band of the day.